Hello and welcome. We are going to be looking into August 2024. Take a look at what is showing up energetically, what to prepare for, and maybe some exercises for introspection as we move into a universal month number 7. This is going to be a karmic debt number. It's a 16-7. So if you caught one of my lives maybe 2 weeks ago when I had pulled cards on the remaining 2024 to look at the energetic potential of the rest of the year, I went into August with 2 7 of Swords that came out, which is very odd. I actually don't believe I have pulled 2 7 of Swords together in one reading. So I do feel that energetically, if it resonates with you, of course, and maybe even collectively on a collective level, as we are in a lot of 7 of Swords energy. If you are not familiar with the 7 of Swords, by the way, 7 of Swords does depict it can depict a very chaotic mental energy. It can also convey a warning of either shady behavior, liar, cheater, stealer type of behavior. It can also be, again, as I mentioned, chaotic. And we do have Mercury retrograde on the 4th of the month. And the 4th, 5th is going to be very pivotal, I feel, for a lot of us, given the fact that we have the new moon in Leo, we have Mercury going retrograde in Virgo, and we have also Venus entering Virgo at that time. So there's going to be quite a shift in energy around the new moon in Leo, which I'll get to in just a moment. But I want to focus more on the karmic debt number 16-7, which is a very big karmic debt. It's like the karmic debt numbers of karmic debt numbers. So this one, 16-7, is the Tower card in the tarot. It represents the fall of the ego. It represents the cycle of death and rebirth. So for myself, I have a karmic debt number 16-7 soul urge, which has been very interesting to work with. So there's constant death and rebirth, constant cycling of the old, but it does provide an incredible ability for awakening. It does also give us a profound spiritual sense of knowing, a sense of self. 7 is the most spiritual number in numerology. It is the truth seeker. It is more of an introvert type of archetype. It likes to learn. It likes to dissect. It likes to find the truth. And as I mentioned, it's very spiritual. So it loves to look into esoteric practices, religious philosophies, religious studies. And so we can find ourselves in this month a little bit more withdrawn, depending on your chart, depending on what you're going through. The 7 does have a little bit more of a withdrawn type of energetic archetype, right? So you might find yourself a little bit more withdrawn. You might find yourself studying more spiritual philosophies, researching, maybe even taking a course. But again, it's going to depend on your own particular chart. If you are in a year 7, if you know your chart and you know what year you are in, if you are in a personal year 7, this is going to be very complementary. So you are going to have probably a double dose of wanting to stay at home, wanting to dissect and learn and study and research and deepen your spiritual practice, for example. The 16-7 with the universal year 8 is very strong together. We are dealing with a lot of powerful energy, and these powerful energies can collide. So 8 in numerology, I've talked about this many times before. You are probably familiar. 8 is a very powerful number. It represents power, personal power, prosperity. It is the conduit between the higher realms and the lower planes. It is a very powerful archetype for manifestation, for creation. And as we are in a year of friction, as we are in a year of power plays and those enforcing their powers from all different sides, actually, it's very, I feel very thematic of this year, but also with this month, there can be a big collision of events, energy, differences of opinions, and also maybe the truth, because the 7 does offer an opportunity to uncover the truth. We had a universal year 7 last year, and there was a lot of this depth of spiritual understanding, spiritual evolution, but also going into the truth of what is happening in our world, what is the source of our spiritual self, what has been hidden under the surface. And now all of this information has been coming up in many different forms and even within ourselves. So this month can offer maybe a clash of these truths that are surfacing within ourselves or within within humanity, within the collective, which is already happening. So there might be, given the Seven of Swords, double seven of Swords card pull that I went into a couple weeks ago, there could very well be a clash of information or lies, deceit versus maybe truth being concealed with the Seven of Swords. So there could be some shady behavior, but I mean, it's already happening regardless. There's a lot of, I feel, truth that is starting to become exposed and people going into the depths of this, but it also can create a very strong disassociation and almost a powerful illusion within ourselves if we even go too far into it. So we do have to be very discerning how much energy we give ourselves to explore these hidden truths versus what can we take as far as information by observing and then going on our own and creating maybe our own reality based on what we know, based on even maybe creating barriers and boundaries with some of this information as well. Because if we do find ourselves consumed by a lot of the information that is starting to arise, which it is good to be aware, it is good to be observant, but it's also good to be discerning and not to give in to too much of the information that is starting to come to the surface, because there's also an overload of information that might even confuse a lot of us if we are really diving into it, if we're really searching for the truth and wanting the truth and being part of a lot of the chaos that's coming out on social media or that has been uncovered. So it is very important to, yes, be observing, be an observer, but not to fall into it too deeply, not to fall into it too much. Now, there's nothing wrong with going down the rabbit hole every now and then, especially in your own practice. But I find that we can get lost in some of this as well. We can lose ourselves and have a hard time pulling out of it, and also regaining a sense of clarity with our path, with our own inner truth, and with the life that we truly desire, that we want to create accordingly. So on a collective level, there could be a bit of pushback with truth that is being exposed, truth that is being revealed, truth that is being uncovered, or truth that is being explored with certain powers that have been in play. Now, I've talked about this throughout the year off and on. You may have heard other people talk about this as well with this 8 frequency, this year that we're in, with these power plays, and also the power that has been in place for many years, instilling its power or enforcing its power. And it's fighting back harder and harder to do so. You can see it. It's pretty evident right now. However, with the 6 and the 7 and the 8 together, it can be a very it can be a very destructive type of energy, especially the 16-7. The 7 can challenge the 8. The 7 knows. The 7 knows. It knows the depths. It knows the truth. It is the true seeker. It wants to get to the origin. It wants to uncover the truth. And the 8 wants power, right? So there can be a clash of these energies on a collective level. Also, too, again, like I said, the 16-7 is going to the 16 at its origin, being the karmic debt number, is going to be very, very powerful energy to work with as well, or work with, but also experience or watch unfold. So it's going to be a dynamic month. And now let's get into a little bit of astrology. I mentioned this before. I'm not an astrologer. I look at a bit of the energy and go in completely intuitive and just gain a sense of what could be happening, and also take a look at the broader landscape of what's happening within our world and within ourselves. And as I record this, the last full moon that we had in Capricorn a week ago was actually quite pivotal. And I did underestimate the potency of the full moon. It's sometimes hard to gauge the energy of full moon. Sometimes it comes in a day after, sometimes it happens the day of, sometimes it happens a week before. So it is going to be different, of course, for everyone. But I do feel that this Capricorn full moon had a little bit of a flavor of karma, especially with Saturn retrograde. So I'm not sure how it served you, but took me about a week to recover. Truthfully, it was a very strong full moon. And I do feel there was a little bit of an element of karma attached to it. So we are naturally encountering very dramatic energies and experiences as we move through these processes here. And the point of all of these conversations or these videos that I'm creating here is to open dialogue for us to explore our deeper selves and to make sense of what could be happening within ourselves, and to give ourselves context with the greater unfolding that's happening within the world or within our our timeline, right? So a lot of us are evolving right now. A lot of us are coming out of this. A lot of us are seeing the truth. A lot of us have been going through incredible transformation. And also in August, we are going to go into the early energetic phases of the eclipse season that's going to be starting in September. So we have a lunar eclipse in Aries mid-September, then the solar eclipse in early October. And we're going to naturally start to slowly feel that energy, which I will create a separate video on that altogether. And I'll probably cover it in the middle of August when we're going into the full moon in Aquarius. The start of August, I feel, could be quite strong, given the fact that we have the new moon in Leo. On the 4th, we have Mercury retrograde on the 4th in Virgo, and we have Venus in Virgo on the 4th as well. So the 4th, 5th day is going to be quite potent for many of us, depending on your own specific chart. But I do feel that the beginning of August will offer quite a lot of energy to work with. Now, Mercury retrograde, we already are in the shadow period. You may be noticing perhaps some technology glitches, some things that could be happening with technology, could be a bit glitchy, but mostly I feel this one is going to be very analytical, very much within our mind, as Mercury is Virgo's ruling planet. So if you are Virgo sun or Gemini sun, for example, you might want to watch your mind, your mental activity. You might also want to watch a lot of detail domination. So meaning being very, very picky and careful about the details with Virgo. So Mercury, I feel this one, the Mercury retrograde in Virgo is going to have a title of rethink. That's going to be my intuitive hunch around this Mercury retrograde in Virgo, due to the potency of Virgo's ability to be very analytical but very precise. I feel that there's an opportunity here due to the fact that it is retrograde, moving backwards slightly. It does give us a time for introspection, reflection, looking back a little bit. Maybe situations from the past may arise, maybe someone from the past may show up, but also it is a time of assessment, reassessment, looking back a little bit, taking inventory. But this one, I feel, because it is very mental, it's very analytical, it's very much about details, fine-tuning and adjustments. I do feel that the theme for this particular Mercury retrograde is going to be rethink. So maybe rethinking your path, rethinking decisions, rethinking choices, rethinking certain aspects that you've been contemplating or maybe even investing into. So maybe there is a period here during Mercury retrograde in Virgo where you can rethink some of your situations and giving yourself some time for pause. So not making any decisions necessarily, but even just taking some time to pause and rethink certain direction, maybe a direction or certain choices or even decisions before making a decision in haste. So it is going to require, I feel, letting go within the mind, letting go of perfectionism and finding pause during this Mercury retrograde in Virgo. And then by the end of the month, later portion of the month, Mercury will be going direct. I think it's around the 28th, if I'm not mistaken, and is going to be at that time direct in Leo. We also are in Leo season, of course. So we are here in the heart of the lion. We are here to be bold. We are here to be brave. We are here to be creative and expressive and unapologetic with our authenticity, with our authentic self. So the new moon in Leo, I will record a separate video, but enjoy this season. This is where we get to shine. This is where we get to be brave. This is where we get to listen to our heart and be bold and very creative. It's also a very generous energy too. So you might find yourself creating strong relationships with family, with friends, being maybe a little bit more engaged with relationships or even others in some kind of way of gratitude or generosity or abundance. It also is a very, very abundant energy. So this is the phase that we are in right now when we move from Cancer season, which was a little bit more inwardly. It was a time where we were able to pay attention to our heart, where we were maybe able to heal our heart, maybe create meaningful, loving, nurturing relationships with family, with friends, with love, etc. And now we move outwardly to express. We move outwardly to create. We move outwardly to even enjoy life, the pleasures in life in any kind of way. So it is a very abundant energy where we get to create abundance, where we get to enjoy abundance fully, but also where we get to radiate right? So it's a very open energy. It's where we have maybe spent some time within our heart, within our intuition, and then now we go outwardly within this Leo season. So again, I will record a separate video for the new moon in Leo and as well the full moon in Aquarius later portion of the month. But that is a very light recap of the month of August. Pay attention to that karmic debt number 16. Maybe something does need to shift perhaps as well. So you can work with the karmic debt number to integrate it into your practice of what needs to change, what needs to shift within yourself, what needs to maybe be released or die off in a sense of egoic energy, the false personas or fear-based persona, or any kind of barriers that have been preventing you from living authentically or expressing your boldness, expressing your creativity, or expressing from your heart. So you can also work with a 16 to your advantage for your practice and maybe even integrate it into the full moon for optimal results, because the full moon is a time of great transformation, as we already know. So you may be seeing a little bit of this happening or unfolding within your life. We can definitely take note of what's happening on the collective stage. And then, of course, Mercury retrograde, rethink. So take some time, take a pause. Do not rush, do not push during Mercury retrograde, and take time to rethink, reflect. Maybe look backwards a little bit. What have you learned from the past that you can apply for great change towards your future? All right, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm wishing you a beautiful month ahead, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.